This is an important skill set. Most people are going to go to Yellowstone, Custer, or somewhere and do okay, because you don't have to know the wildlife all that much to get photographs of it. But in this instance, most of the places by your house, you're going to have to know. Okay, it is midsummer, late summer, and let me go over this way. It's warm. So we're going to talk scouting the animals and bug control, kind of keeping safe on that, because yeah. So we're going to look for some animal trails, animal tracks, kind of get set up for the fall, see what we can photograph. And so for the last few weeks, I've been putting out a little birdseed here and there to actually see what is out there, see the patterns. But in this kind of temperature, this kind of area with all this green stuff, the animals are going to be seeking water for the most part, because it's warm. It's like 95, and everything's filled in. So I don't bring my heavy photography gear, because you get opportunities and they're not the greatest. You'll see something along these lines where the animals are covered up. It's kind of cool, but it's more frustrating in that respect. And also, you want to do some pre-scouting, so when all the leaves and everything fall off, you're kind of already know where the animals are at in some of the areas, and you're able to scout some things out. So one of the reasons why I don't bring my full gear is not the greatest photos, and I have a tendency just to want to photograph when I bring the larger cameras out, and my scouting suffers. It's much better at scouting when I was a kid, looking for animal tracks, knowing all that, than now. So that being said, yeah, let's get moving on. First things first, let's talk bug control. My last rabbit video, we talked a little bit. I noticed I want to put that out there. You notice I'm wearing 3 layers of clothing. There's a reason for that. We have bugs and ticks, mosquitoes. So first of all, I have 3 layers, which is a compression pants, compression shirt, which is really tight, so nothing kind of gets underneath that and gets into your skin like ticks and that. Then I have khakis and a turtleneck, which kind of is regular clothing. Then I have this mosquito netting. So we had 2 things. West Nile virus was pretty big here a few years back, a bunch of dead birds, and so the mosquito netting helps, along with a little bit of spray. I don't like using a lot of spray because I kind of feel that stuff's toxic. And then ticks. I have a lot of ticks. Look at this foliage. If I was to go through some of this stuff, I would have a half dozen ticks on me if I just start rambling through there. And that's this clothes. So my decontamination method is, I get back to the car, I shed the netting and lose the boots and put on some regular shoes, and that kind of keeps the car clean, meaning a lot of the ticks will fall off your clothes onto chairs, onto seats, and then you go back later and they're available. So why the worry about the ticks? We have Lyme disease, and I've known a couple people that have had Lyme disease, and it affects their health greatly. So just 2 of the areas, West Nile, Lyme disease. Let me know if you guys have a better method of keeping the bugs off you, but this seems to be working this summer. I always change it up a little bit. And the decontamination method, yeah, it seems to be working. No ticks this year. Let's see here. This area I'm moving towards, and I got this beach. Like, check this out. How much Look at the sand. sand here. This is how much this landscape changes, man. It's like really deep mud, or you got stuff. And what this will tell you is when you run into this, if you're in the middle of the night and you're lost, you start seeing your landscape change. You go from mud to like this, like what the hell, this sand? Oh yeah, you got a lot of water around. You know, this is a low basin area. This has been flooded. Like, what kind of forest has sand in it unless it's been flooded seriously by the river? So you guys seen that video, that intro of that river. This thing floods and it's fast, probably about 8-9 miles an hour, you know, typical. I think the average river is like 5 or 6. So it's probably double the speed, but it pushes all the water. So if you're tenting, you're camping or something, you're going in this, just be cognizant that, yeah, a little bit, probably another 50 yards over, that water goes up fast. It's pushing all this sand, all this dirt, but it also offers different opportunities for tracking because it's a little easier. It's a little easier for tracking. Oh, check this out. All right, I see a big toad or frog, and I never see these guys. So I'm gonna get down here and get you a close-up look at this little guy. This thing's amazing. This little critter. You just don't ever see these guys anymore. Yeah, I'll get you in down below. But you know, it's one of those things that just kind of disappears with all the spraying, with all the farming and everything going on. I just don't see frogs, salamanders, certain things anymore. Just doesn't seem to be around. It's good to see. I've seen a couple of these dancing around. So, hey, it's a good sign in some respects. Yeah. Wow. It's very cool. Okay, let's find some animals. Oh, this is a big drainage ditch. Yep. Got tracks. We definitely have some tracks here. This area behind me, that's a bigger drainage ditch, and this over behind me. I'm gonna go up, and I'll go up, and behind me, you see back there, it's a bigger area. And there's raccoon tracks and some other tracks right through here. So I'm gonna go back there, and we're gonna check this out. You know, I'll get you down here to look at these tracks anyway. Yeah, we're on a little bit better track pathing now. Yeah, so here's a small pool of mud. Used to be water, but you can see the tracks just all over here. So they have these little ravines or these little waterway tunnels or funnels that create, I guess, an opportunity for raccoons and possums to kind of go up and down the path. Not a lot of water, but some. One thing in looking for older tracks versus newer is you can kind of look at how they're placed. Now these are a little older because if you push on the outsides of the little footprints, paw prints, they're somewhat firm, and yeah, they've been here for a while. But if you start seeing prints that have stuff over them, obviously, and there's no dirt on the top side, but you can tell. So you want to look for leaves filling things in. If the paw prints cover up the leaves, obviously it's newer. But if you start seeing a lot of leaves over the track that are fresh, these are fresh leaves, there's no dirt on it, you know it's a little older than newer. So it's just a way to look at it. Firm paw prints, stuff over the prints. Yeah, you can tell, say it's a little bit older. It's a few days old, obviously, but the animals have crossed this pathway to get into the creek. So speaking of funnels, trails, and paths, check this out. We got this tube here. Up above it is where we found the raccoon tracks. Now this tube is, you know, maybe a foot wide, but that's one of the areas where you can start looking at different animal sizes and what they'll do. So muskrat, mink, possum will go underneath. A large raccoon will go over the top because it doesn't want to fit below here. Really easy. So if you don't want to have to memorize footprints, paw prints, and all the really detailed stuff, you can just go off the size of the animal, small, medium, and large. Check out my video on tracking if you haven't seen it. I go into detail. But yeah, this is a good area to be able to look, because back in the day, years ago, we would have really focused on this funnel point to be able to figure out what animal is coming through this area. This is a prime area. This is a prime area because it's so warm that these animals will flock to water on the backside of this. So this is what's called a stepping sticks or step over stick. Animals that come in, there's a bunch of footprints on the backside of this log, and that's what you look for. So they step over the stick and they impact a little harder on the backside of the log to give you an imprint to see what they are. So all kinds of animals I have: raccoon, some turkey tracks, a little bit of squirrel tracks, getting some water because it's been so warm here that 90s, 95, a little bit of sanity, I guess, for them. You've seen earlier there's actually a river on the backside a couple hundred yards away. It's a little too fast for them to grab water from, so if they get in there, a lot of the smaller animals, the squirrels and that, are not going to make it. They're not going to be able to get out because it's probably a 10-mile-an-hour stream. Yeah. So this is a perfect area to look for ambush points. If you look way in the back, they come right down this ravine, grab some water and keep going. So a lot of these animals will actually run a path or a trail every morning. Fox do it, coyotes, they have their path, whatever they go across. They look for their food, come out at night, go in the morning, but they kind of follow the same path every day looking for their food. And this is definitely a stopping point. It's not really new tracks, probably a couple days old, but it's something to look for, especially in these warmer periods. So I was thinking about maybe trying to set up a photography blind over there and look to see if they would come out. The problem is I need to know what time, because this looks like they could be right in the middle of the night. Not necessarily good photography light at that point, but yeah. It's just one of those areas to look for, yeah. We're gonna head back to the riverfront. Seen some coyote tracks a few days ago. I want to see how recent, see if there's any new ones, see how frequent the animals visit. It's always a good plan to go back a few times to make sure they're consistently going through the same path. Yeah, let's head back that way and we'll probably call it a day. All right, got some coyote tracks here, and yeah, it's a regular trail. Now I've been through this area a few different times and I keep seeing the same coyote trails, almost exact same location. So normally trappers or something would put up snares or something along that line to be able to capture the animal. But what's more interesting is this little dig hole this little guy created. All right, so this is the dig hole, and it's fresh because we got a little bit of moisture here. It's not totally dry, so this is fairly fresh, probably last night. And also, if we look a little closer, we have some coyote tracks. Not totally clean, not totally clear, but yeah, for some reason the animal is digging here. But I've also seen some other holes right around here as well. I was really surprised. I thought it'd be a raccoon, but it looks like a coyote was digging this up. Yeah, let's go out into the opening. This landscape has changed a lot. We went kind of towards the beach. You guys can see this. Up, yeah, and back around. So I'm finding coyote tracks and some beaver tracks as well. I'll show you a slide here in a second. But yeah, I'm thinking if I was to try to pull this off, it's a low probability, but right in front of me, I'll spin you around, right up over my head there, a coyote frequents, and I'm thinking right behind me I could put in a blind, a quick blind, and actually do an ambush photograph outing where I sit up here in the middle of the night, or set up very early and just kind of wait for that, because it seems like a coyote's always going right past this area. Yeah, low probability. You could probably bait it a little bit, maybe put a little food out, and try to get the patterns, try to get the timing down. But again, it's not going to be a long photo shoot. It's going to be fairly quick, within 5 minutes or so, like that. Yeah. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. So we did a little bit of bug overview, kind of keeping safe on that end. A little bit of tracking for possums and raccoons in the forest, a little bit more mud and that. And then we've come out to the sand dune areas and the riverfront areas for coyote and beaver. That being said, you know, this is a kind of bushcraft tracking. It's a little bit different than camera reviews. If you guys want to see that, just let me know. But I think this is an important skill set. Most people are going to go to Yellowstone, Custer, or somewhere and do okay, because you don't have to know the wildlife all that much to get photographs of it. But in this instance, most of the places by your house, you're going to have to know. It's a lot more difficult. There's a lot more prep work to this, and you have to understand animal behavior. You got to be able to track. You got to have the whole shebang to actually get close and get some decent photos. It's the reason why a lot of people just don't even do that. They just go to the bigger parks because it's much easier. Yep. Anyway, enough of that. If you guys like this stuff, like, subscribe, and I will see you next week.